welcome back to part 2 of our Revell 125th CA Corvette build. Picking up where we left off last time, we're going to get started today with our clear coat. So we've got Pro Scales 2K clear, and we've got our booth prepared for it. So we've wetted our surface to make sure any dust that lands there doesn't get airborne again. We've got our Pro Scale Paints 2K. It's a little bit out of shot, do excuse me. There is a video on the channel covering spraying this, you want to see it in more depth. What we're doing here is we've got the clear coat, and we're going to do a 2-to-1 mix of the clear coat and activator. So if we put in 8 ml of clear coat, we're going to put in 4 milliliters of activator. So 2-to-1, 2 parts clear, 1 part activator. So we're using a fresh pipette for each stage of this and throwing the pipette away. We do not want to contaminate a different bottle with a different chemical because it will ruin your 2K system. So with the clear and activator mixed together in the appropriate ratio, we can stir that to get it mixed together, and then we're going to throw the pipette away and never ever use that again. So we squeeze it out, empty it, throw it away. We're then going to thin it 5%. So again, if we've got 12 milliliters of combined clear and activator, we're going to put in 5%, which would be 0.6 ml of thinner. So 0.6 ml of thinner in there, and the thinner makes all the difference on this, trust me. We can mix it up. Now I have mixed a lot more than I'm talking about here because I've got a lot of other parts to spray for another kit as well. So I've mixed quite a large dose of this today. Once you've got all the thinner, clear and activator mixed up, I would recommend straining it. The activator does have a habit of drying crusty around its rim because of what it is an isocyanate based activator. So it can dry crusty around the rim, and straining it will get any bits and bobs that may have inadvertently fell in. Now, we've got our anti-static brush, going over the model again. The body is securely mounted to our Tamiya stand now, to make sure it doesn't fall over, and all our other parts are securely mounted in ways that will make them easy to spray. Now I've got my arms fully covered in full length plastic gloves, and then I've got nitrile gloves on my hands. Left hand is double gloved for reasons later on. When I clean the airbrush, I take the glove off covered in 2K, so I've got a nice fresh glove underneath. So there you go, yeah. See up there for thinking, down there for airbrushing. We're going to start, as usual, putting down our nice semi-wet coat of clear coat. So it's our Water CR5, 5mm Revolution airbrush, 18 psi, and we're just going to get a nice semi-wet coat of paint down to begin with. Now, usual safety precautions, we've got our extractor on, our beautiful bench vent extractor. I'm fully gloved, so no 2K will get on my skin. I've got my 3M full face respirator on, which I would recommend full face if you possibly can. You can get good deals on eBay for them. And obviously we're going to paint all of our parts together, so we get equal coats and everything. I've sped this footage up a little bit. Also, make sure you're spraying on the room on your own. Make sure you've got your pets or children or family members in there with you. And when you're done, vacate the room, let it off gas by itself. Now, as you see with the bench, we've got 2 boxes today because there's that many parts. I don't want to be juggling them around. So the body shell will go in the left one, and all the smaller parts will go in the right one, and vice versa. And we can just move things around a bit easier, getting to them later on. So we've got a multitude of parts to do here. So we've just got to take our time. So the body's on the Tamiya stand. I've got an old bottle here that I've got a bit of 3M double-sided sticky foam tape on that the bumper's attached to. And again, exactly the same procedure. Nice semi-wet coat. Lots of nooks and crannies on the bumper, so make sure you get in them. We're just going for a nice even coat of 2K all over to begin with. Same on the engine cover as well. Tricky one to spray this one because of the angle of it. So just make sure you get an even coat of 2K down. And don't forget the edges as well. Very easy to forget. And like I say, the boxes help keep the dust off. And also it's a nice place for the body parts to sit and dry later on. Spoiler, rear spoiler here as well. And this is where that carbon flash colour really comes alive. So as you see, we've got a few parts to juggle here. Obviously, a lot of the parts are glued in place on the cars. At least 6 were glued in place on the car. So we've got those out of the way, luckily. Although you definitely have a lot more. Just remember on the smaller parts, it takes a lot less clear coat to fully cover them. So we get all the first layer down on all these parts. Then we're going to pop it back in the box for 5 minutes to let the 2K flash off and tack up a little bit. So it will go super, super tacky. And when we come back for our next wet coat, this will help the wet coat stick. So it's been in the box for 5 minutes. It's gone super tacky now. And here we are again with exactly the same, a nice semi-wet coat all over. Now people always ask me, do I leave the 2K and the airbrush between coats? Yep, you've got a working time of 45 minutes with this stuff. Although if you start getting over 20-25 minutes, I would start remixing fresh 2K. A professional painter told me this years ago. It's beneficial to have a fresh mix rather than have one that's been sat around for a while. Because obviously we are starting the catalyst off, adding the isocyanate activator to the clear. So it is starting that chemical process. So we want the best possible finish we can get. So if you're doing a large vehicle or a lot of coats, I would recommend mixing a fresh batch for your third coat. So again, going through them all, this is our 0.5 this is our 5% thin mix as earlier. We're going to get all these parts done and then we're going to pop them back in the booth. And we're going to thin the 2K a touch on. I've tried many different ways of thinning our 2K. I've gone 20% thin from the start, 10% thin from the start, 5%, adding more mixture as you go. And for me, the way I'm doing it now is the most optimal way of spraying the 2K. I've tried it all, trust me. This is the easiest way to get a clear coat finish that barely even needs sanding back and polishing. It is that good out the airbrush. And that is using the 5% thin mix for the first couple of coats. And for your last coat or coat, depending on what's required, thin it a further 10%. And it makes all the difference. Trust me, been there. I've done all the hard work for you in testing. I know my product very, very well. So with those done, they're back in the booth. We're pouring what's left of our 2K mix back into a fresh medicine cup. We've only been spraying for like 10 minutes here, so we know the 2K is perfectly fine to use. So if we've now got 10 milliliters of combined clear coat and thinner, we're going to add another 10% of thinner. So we're going to put another 1 ml of thinner in there. Doesn't sound a lot. It makes a huge difference to how thin and easy this sprays now. So it's going to cut the airbrush a lot easier. It's going to spray a lot finer. And because it's thinner, it's going to self-level more. Now, because we've already laid the groundwork with our initial coats, this is where it's going to help those other coats settle down more. And we're going to get an absolutely phenomenal 2K finish out of the airbrush. This is going to be hard to beat. I promise you now. I've used many 2Ks over the years. Ours is the easiest and most forgiving to use and gives some of the best results I've seen. It's absolutely beautiful. And it doesn't dry too thick. You don't lose your panel lines. It is like magic. So going all over the model with our 10% thin mix. Now obviously be aware this is a thinner mix, so don't be going crazy with it. Because you don't want to get runs on the body. But I am yet to have a run from our 2K. And I've pushed it a lot more than I think on some parts. And it still just hasn't run on me. It will do. It will do. Everything has a limit. But just taking our time here will give us the perfect paint job. We've prepared the body perfectly all the way through. Primed, painted it. This is our final stage. And as I always say, however this dries now is how it's going to, how this looks when you're finished now is how it's going to dry. So you want this to look like glass. And if it doesn't, put a bit more 2K down. Don't be afraid to push it. If you can see orange peel or imperfections in the clear, it's not as good as you can get. So this is your time to do it. You can always go over with another coat after this one and another one after that if you want until you're totally happy. Don't be afraid to push it that little bit further. I see so many people have just almost got that perfect 2K and they just haven't pushed it that one final coat at the end just to get that beautiful 2K. Now, I'm using a light in the spray booth just to have a good look around the model. Looking for anywhere that just might need a little bit more 2K. And I'm pretty happy with that, I think. I think it's gone down really well. Oh, there's a little bit there on that sill. So while we're there, we'll do that entire side just very quickly. There we go. Let's have a quick look at this side. Is there a little bit there at all? You can see I'm angling the light and looking for any imperfections. And even if it's the smallest imperfection, I'll put a little bit more 2K down in the hope that we'll get rid of it at this stage rather than relying on sanding back and polishing later. Because the better the job we do now, the less work we've got to do later on. It really is that simple. So save yourself some time and do a good job as you can. Now, I do apologise for being off camera a little bit. I think I've headbutted my camera at some point and moved it. I literally moved it back into position yesterday. So we're a little bit higher up than normal. So apologies for being off camera a little bit. It's an occupational habit of headbutting cameras, unfortunately. Happens daily in here. But there we go, look at that, it's looking really nice. And then be careful putting it back in and out your booth as well. You've got sticky fingers. Don't be getting 2K everywhere. But happy how that looks, so that can stay in there for another 5 days now and let it fully cure. So on to my most hated part of modelling, which is parts cleanup, and boy is there a lot of parts to this kit. There is loads. So we're going to use our Tamiya side cutters to cut all the parts off. And as you'll see, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of parts in this kit. So we'll then go through with the cutters and trim back as much of the excess sprue cut off as we can. And then we'll come back with our sanders and clean them up as good as possible. There's also parts to glue together, like the engine halves. There's a few other bits and bobs, seats and what have you in the kit. So just refer to instructions. I would go through systematically, page by page, and have a look at what needs glued together now. Because on the engine, you'll have a lot of parts you can glue in place that are going to be painted the same colour. So you might as well glue them in place now and paint them in one go. Again, that is making life a bit easier for yourself, and also getting continuity of colour where we want it as well. So just take your time, work your way around everything, refer to the instructions, and make sure you're gluing things A in the right place, and B, you're not gluing things in that need to be a different colour and making your life a little bit more difficult later on. Now, I'm a big fan of these newer Revell instructions. They are brilliant. Colour-coded, really clear legends, really clear layout as well. There's a few parts in there that look a bit iffy where they go, but you can tend to figure it out amongst your own thoughts. So this is the sump as well, your own thoughts. You can figure out yourself. There we go. So clean up with a multitude of UMP sanders to get rid of the sprue points and any flash or seams. We can give them a light sand over. And again, very clean parts, very little cleanup required. Although this did take a good few hours to do, just because of the sheer number of parts. But as I say, go through the instructions, looking for all the parts that are the same colour, gluing those in place. We can paint those in one lot. Because as I've started doing now for the last probably year, I literally cut all the parts and clean up in one go, prime in one go, paint in one go. And it's a much more efficient way of modelling. It seems to take longer because you're doing one aspect at a time. But trust me, once all these parts are cleaned up, you've got no more parts to clean up at all. So over in the booth, everything's cleaned up and mounted ready for primer. We've used a multitude of options for mounting, usually cocktail sticks, using existing holes in the plastic, or drilling a hole in an inconspicuous place, or if it comes to it, as on those window wipers, a little dab of CA glue to hold them in place. We've got some Mr. Surfacer 1500 black, which is primarily what we'll be using for a lot of the parts on the kit. And we'll also be using some Tamiya fine surface primer decanted and spray through the airbrush as well. Now, super fast primer, you ready? Way! Never done this before, and I thought, you know what, I've got all this footage I never show you. I can just shove all this into like a 30-second clip, which has been sped up 10,000 times. No, 5,000 times it's been sped up. And you can literally see all the parts being primed. So if you want to slow it down, I think you can only slow it down about 4 times on YouTube. But you can have a look at all the parts. They're literally being super fast primed. Oh, there we go. The brake there, I think I was having a breather. And then onto the chassis and the interior tub. And then quick colour change. We're on Tamiya grey primer for all the interior and all the interior. And a quick colour change to pink for our engine covers and red parts on the engine. And a quick clean up. Ta-da! There we go, we're done. Same on the silver. Whee! We're off again. So this is super fine silver from Pro Scale paint on our engine. I think this works quite well, to be honest. I've never thought of doing it before. I know I've just cut it all out, but this way you can see everything being painted. Now the beauty of lacquers is, because they dry so fast, by the time you've done one side of the part and come back, it's dried. You can just keep going. This is the one thing I love about lacquer paints. They dry so fast. It just speeds up your modelling time immensely. And again, super fast painting. So on this one, I think we use mostly superfine silver and stainless steel on this one. I think I show them at the end. There's the stainless steel with a quick colour change. And then we do the brakes in carbon ceramic black from Pro Scale as well, even though they're not in real life. I did a bit of artistic license. There's the ceramic grey going down. And then some Tamiya LP5 as well. So how's that for super fast painting? Brilliant. Chassis as well. And then the engine covers I did in GX, is it 3, the red I think it is. And then the interior, I used the base orange colour we used on the exterior. Now I wasn't sure of it at first, but after I finished the model, I'm glad I did. It's a very nice contrasting colour. I originally wanted a more orange colour, but I think when it's painted up, which you'll see in a second, it's like a mix between orange and like a tan colour. And yeah, I think it's a good colour for the car. It really sets it off. When you look at the pictures in part 3 of the finished car, you'll see what I mean. It really does look good. But at this stage, I was a bit like, I'm not sure about that. But glad I stuck with it and went through the build. Yes, I am. So the front of the seats and a lot of the parts we're going to do in this orange colour. The rest of them we're going to do in Pro Scale Napa Black. So we've got a two-tone interior colour. I think it gives a nice contrast. We're going to do anthracite black flocking on the interior as well. There's loads of decals for the interior in the kit. It's actually quite a well decaled spec kit. So I think the contrast in black on orange will look good. The backs of the seats I'm going to do in the carbon flash colour we use on the exterior. You can't really see it, but I just think it's a nice touch. I was going to carbon decal them, and I thought, you know what, let's do the carbon flash instead. So a whole multitude of colours. This is a couple of hours of spraying here, condensed into a couple of minutes basically. I think, let me know what you think of this being high speed like this. Is it a better way of showing it rather than cutting everything out and just literally flying through the parts until they're done? Panel line wash, we've got the dark brown wash. This is a difficult one to find. I had to really search around on mainland Europe to find this. It's brilliant for weathering brown interiors because it's a contrasting colour. And again, once it's in, it looks a bit stark, like, oh god, it's a bit dark. Once it dries, it blends in beautiful. Wipe off the excess as per normal. And yeah, just adds a lot of depth to the seat and makes it look a lot less boring. So again, Tamiya panel line wash, enamel based over our lacquer paints. No reaction whatsoever. Once it's dry, it takes about 20-30 minutes. We'll get some Santador odorless mineral spirits from Winsor & Newton on a cotton bud, wipe it off and dry it off with a bit of tissue as well. Just adds instant depth. See, again, so many models without washes on. Seriously, if it can hold a wash, give it a wash. It just adds depth to the model. It can really make a difference between looking toy-like and just making it look more realistic. Like I say, with that done, a cotton bud with some Santador on, which is an odorless mineral spirit. We're just going to gently remove the excess. This is our roof lining. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing there. Our roof lining with our sun visors on. And again on the seat as well. We'll get rid of the excess. Now it's a bit shiny at the minute. Number one, because it's wet with the mineral spirits. We are going to matte these later on. You'll see, I think I show it in the video. I forget now if I do or not. But we are going to, I think we actually semi-gloss them in the end. And they're looking good. Brake calipers, I was going to brush paint these originally and then change my mind and painted them red. So a bit of a bodge job. I used a post-it note on the edge. I'll be honest, it worked absolutely perfectly. Same GX colour as the engine covers. So we do all those. And then we've got some decals. So we've got the auxiliary belts. I've got their little printed white lettering on them, which is a decal in the kit. Like I say, it's a very well spec decal set with this kit. If you go look at the review, you can see them all. Loads of decals, really well spec'd. So fair play to Revell for that one. Loads on the interior as well. I sat there for 10 minutes very carefully painting that console black. I have my magnifier on, a tiny brush. I then realised there's a bloody decal in the kit. So I was like, oh, isn't that just splendiferous? Yeah, so with that in place, again, standard decal procedure. You get the moisture out, hit it with UMP decal solutions, and a little bit of heat if you think it needs it. So there we go, there's our speedo in place. Get the moisture out from behind. There we go, and we hit it with our UMP decal solutions. And then the, what we call this one, the entertainment screen, I suppose, the display screen in the center. Again, in place, and then the steering wheel gets its horn push on the airbag in the centre too. Like so, and then we've got the buttons on the side as well. Like I say, great decal sheet in this. It really livens up that interior. I don't think I will definitely buy another one of these kits, and I'm hoping we'll get some detail upsets coming out soon. Because I'd really like to detail one of these kits up. I think it, whilst it's good, I think it deserves a little bit more detail. So get everything lined up, get the moisture, hit it with some decal solutions. We've got the door card, trim and speaker decal. That goes in place there. Some UMP decal solution to get that in place. So both sides of those. And then the headlights. These are tricky ones. These, take your time with these. I will find real life reference pictures of the real headlights. You can see where these stickers instructions are not the clearest, but it will all become apparent if you look at the real car. So again, get all these in place. It took me several goes to get this thing to sit right. Once it was in, UMP decal solutions, just as strong. Set these in place. Really high quality decals. There we go. Set those in place there. And then the brake caliper decals as well. No need for clear coats on these. The gloss red looking good as is. So I'm just going to put the decal on and then leave that be. Like I said, I've gone for carbon ceramic brakes on this. I don't even think it's an option on the car. I just thought the steel looking brakes looked a bit boring. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to use a bit of artistic license and stick some carbon ceramic brake discs on there from ProScale. Bit of detail paint on the engine as well. These will be the coil packs. So they're being brush painted in Tamiya enamel. Is it X4? I think it is, enamel blue. Same as the acrylic blue. So these little mascara brushes, absolutely brilliant. It's a tip I got off my buddy Brandon. Get these on Amazon. They're brilliant. Just doing little paint jobs like this. We can't bother dragging out a brush and having to clean it all. And then a final, it is a matte coat. We use dual coat on this. I thought I did. A final dual coat of matte coat all over the interior to take that shine off. And there we go. That's us done with part 2 today. We'll be back with part 3 very, very soon. These videos are going to be released almost instantly, day after day, until they're done. Hope you've enjoyed that. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Have you bought the kit? Are you thinking of getting a kit? What do you think of the build so far? Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click that bell notification to get notified of the latest videos. Give the video a thumbs up or down, should you wish, either way. And as always, you want to get early access to these videos, you come with Patreon. You get like 3-month early access on the videos, as well as loads of other perks which are on screen now. And a huge thanks to all my patrons whose names going to flash up at the end. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.